A little bit later, Harold is going to tell you why Nolan Ryan may be even better than you think. That's all ahead on this journey of Hot Stove. But, Harold, happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Happy birthday. What do you...
The first thing that I thought about was I've never done this show on my birthday.
Really?
So I'm glad Matt is not here. Because it would be soundboard constantly all day long. So, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. What kind of you got any plans for the... Now, it's interesting because, you know, obviously your birthday is so close to Thanksgiving. Does that temper or change your birthday plans?
Oh, yeah. As a kid, now I'm the youngest of 8. You know, so we didn't have a whole lot of money when we were growing up, right?
Okay.
And so it'd be like, oh, man, it's Harold's birthday. Put some candles on that pie, you know?
Yeah, you kind of get shortchanged a little bit. Almost like when a kid, I don't know if I'm sure there's some people watching right now. Maybe your birthday falls on Christmas.
Yeah, Ricky
Maybe
Henderson.
your birthday falls on Christmas Eve, and that's a little bit you get shortchanged. Yeah. Ricky Henderson has a Christmas birthday. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, happy birthday to you.
Thank you, brother.
We're going to be celebrating you throughout the hour here on this edition of Hot Stove. But meantime, so let's get it started. While you were watching something else, Juan Soto, of course, is the big ticket item this free agent shopping season. And Mets owner Steve Cohen had these thoughts on the pursuit of Juan Soto.
Well, you know, listen, we're going to find out. It's either yes or no, right? There's no in between, and time will tell.
That's kind of the way marriage proposals work, right? It's either yes or no. Time will tell. Harold, reportedly there
I
are...
think you have a better chance when you're proposing to get married than maybe proposing the money here.
Well, if you're proposing with $500+ million, which we figure is the neighborhood that the Juan Soto offer will start at, that's definitely a good neighborhood and a good proposal. Reportedly, there are 5 teams that have submitted proposals.
No mystery teams. We're not surprised by the 5.
Yeah, so this is our J.P. Morosi. Juan Soto has offers from 5 teams. They are the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays. Where do you want to start here? From those 5 teams, anyone surprise you or intrigue you more than the others?
No, I think they all have a different threshold of need that he fits. The Red Sox need another star. They do. And I think he fits great in Fenway Park. I put him in left field.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to play off the monster for defense, and he's going to hit in that park.
Yeah.
He'd be great. Then you go on. But
obviously, the New York Mets, according to some reports, depending on what you read or hear,
I think they're the front runner.
They have emerged as the early front runner, but they're still, you know, time to be.
I'm intrigued with the Yankees. Clearly, they got to go after their player, but that's one of the reasons you make the trade, because you have a full year to convince him.
Yeah.
To, hey, this is where you need to be. And on the year he had, and the way he was adored in New York with the Yankees, yes, that's where he needs to be. But they didn't lock the deal up in 12 months. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Why now? If you had a chance to keep him locked up and you knew he was going to go to free agency, understood, because his agent was going to take him there. But how much of it did you really sit down and go, this is the best team? We love you. This is great. And I'm sure they did all their work, and they still didn't get him. So I don't see that happening.
You don't see a reunion with Soto and the Yankees?
I don't.
What about the Los Angeles Dodgers? I almost feel like they are, I mean, if Soto goes to the Dodgers, that is, I don't even know where to begin if that happens. But you think that they can offer him something that those other 4 teams have, and it has nothing to do with the weather?
No, I think, one, they can throw the money at him, but they can also, they're in a position of, we don't need you. We want you. It'd be great. But since this last group, Mark Walters' group, has taken over, since 2012, look at the Dodgers. The one thing they can offer to Soto is we are going to win every year. And I don't know if you have a 162-game schedule out there, but I've been in a 162-game schedule where I've lost 100. I've been on teams that we've lost 89, 90. That's a long summer. With this here, they do not have a losing record.
No.
You are going to be in the postseason. You are going to win. And this machine right here is not going to stop. That, folks, is called a track record.
Yeah.
That's what this group has done.
No, that's
and they
fair.
will continue. So nobody in baseball can offer this to Soto.
Before I ask you about the Mets, I want to go to a team that was also on that list, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
They were heavily involved in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes last year,
Right.
ultimately came up empty. The it feels like they have been searching for that big white whale, so to speak. And certainly Juan Soto would fit that
He would
bill.
fit, but I would have to know if I'm Soto, what's going to happen with Bichette and Vlad Jr. Because you're going to give me all the money and then they leave?
True.
What are you going to do around me? You know, so I think you got to look at the peripheral of not only can you pay him, but can you sustain around him?
Yeah.
And so that's why this is all going to be very interesting. And that's where the elimination comes to what teams can really.
And both Bichette and Guerrero are free agents at the end of 2025. And lastly, the New York Mets. Let me ask you the Mets and Soto in this question here. Can they get Soto and retain Pete Alonso as well in the same
offseason? They can do what they
offseason?
want.
Okay.
I think they have the ends to do whatever they want to do.
If they are the front runner, which according to reports they are, what that means right now, who knows? But does your gut tell you they get Soto and keep Alonso? What does your gut tell you?
I think Pete played himself back into graces. I don't think they wanted Pete to come back.
Okay.
You know, David Stearns has said all the right things, but again, you had Pete there, and Pete was jumping up and down like, I'm a Met, I'm a Met, I'm a Met. You know, I'm doing everything in the community. I'm that guy. And they didn't lock him up. So to me, that's kind of like, I don't know if they really wanted him back. Pete played himself back into, you have to have me, because he had a fantastic second half of the year, postseason, homegrown, but I don't know if they want him back.
Right. Real quick, the New York Yankees, if they do not retain Soto, what is their fallback plan? And clearly, if you have $500+ million committed to one player, and that player rebuffs your offer, theoretically, you have $500 million to sprinkle around the rest of your roster.
Well, I think for the first time in years, the Yankees have flexibility to adjust their roster.
Yes.
You know, they need to change their roster. Soto is not the only answer. They fell short this year. But honestly, if Houston doesn't fade out, I think the Yankees are done. They don't get to the World Series. To me, that wasn't really the best foot forward for the Yankees. Here's some guys that you can look at filling holes.
They could certainly pivot to one or more of these players on this board.
You can sit there and go, okay, did you like the Yankees' rotation at the end of the year? They had to come up with Weaver as a guy to close for them. Maybe they found a closer in him. But they had some holes. And then offensively, you know, Gleyber, they moved into the leadoff spot. He played really well, but they're not bringing Gleyber Torres back.
No.
Third base, you had Jazz Chisholm, who isn't a third baseman, play third.
I've always thought Alex Bregman was going to end up with the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
That's just my gut.
So my point is that, and even right field, if Soto leaves, you got Santander out there.
They have options.
They have options, and it's the first time I think the Yankees, you look around and go, they're not a lock.
Yeah.
Somebody can lose their job with an upgrade. You know what,
that makes sense. And this talk of contract and high dollar value, which certainly Juan Soto, I'm sure those offers are very, very lucrative. We have seen this in the past. And the thing that we don't know about these offers from these five teams, Harold, is what perks are included.
Right.
All right, so let's take a look back at some of the perks that were included in other pursuits of free agents or star players. George Brett, he received part ownership of an apartment complex in Memphis as part of his lifetime deal with the Kansas City Royals.
That's a pretty good deal.
A.J. Burnett, when he signed with the Blue Jays, got 8 round-trip limo rides from Maryland to Toronto each season for family when he signed with the Blue Jays. That's a nice
His wife did not like to fly.
Right. Alex Rodriguez, when he signed that big deal with the Texas Rangers, $150,000 bonus for winning the Division Series MVP with the Rangers. Of course, that never happened. Oh, by the way, there's never been a Division Series MVP award. They don't hand it out. But he wanted it in there just in case. And then Troy Gloss, this is true. The Diamondbacks paid for his wife's equestrian training and lessons at a stable in Arizona.
They should add the division MVP and call it the Alex Rodriguez Award just because he asked for that.
That's right. They should do that.
They should do that.
I also remember Kevin Brown back in the day. He had access to either unlimited
Southwest
plane.
Airlines.
Is that what it was? Southwest Airlines? That's great stuff. So,
so I remember Alex had to have a suite in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Had his own suite. So there's been some creative things that guys have asked for.
Well, obviously, it's a big day here at the network as Harold Reynolds is celebrating yet another birthday here. And, Harold, we've got a little bit of we've got some birthday wishes here.
Great. Here we go.
For some folks. So check this out.
Happy birthday, Harry. Cheers to you from the great state of Texas. And many more.
Hey, Harold, this is Chef here, man. I just wanted to say happy birthday, man. You've been a pioneer for baseball for a lot of years, man, and I appreciate you, and I'm honoring you on your birthday, buddy.
Hey, Harold, Jamie here. Hey, another special day is upon us. We're sending my greetings from the Pacific Northwest, which you're very fond of. Hey, a lot of great memories of being teammates, always remembering you. Carrying around your Adirondack bat and your glove, always seem to be ready, but always having that big, big smile on your face like you do today currently. So I'll always remember that. And, one of my other little side memories is the day you ended up taking me to the airport. At this point, don't remember where I was going, but still, thank you for the ride.
Did you get lost taking Jamie Moore to the airport?
No, it's just a running joke Matty B's been throwing out here forever.
Yeah.
That was awful nice, man.
That was really nice.
Bone and Chef and Moyer. That's cool, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Jay Buhner, the pride of McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas. A great junior college baseball program, and he's part of that great legacy there.
There you go.
So happy birthday to Harold Reynolds. Much more throughout the show here on this edition of Hot
It's embarrassing, man. Thank you, guys.
No, you should be celebrated, and rightly so. Hey, let's take a quick timeout. When we come back, JP Morosi has been away from the show, but not without good reason. He's been all over the world, as he is prone to do. He has been in Asia, covering one of the most unique and important baseball tournaments in the world. They Premier 12, and there was an upset in that tournament. JP was there to call it and to cover it. We'll talk about that when we come back. Back to Hot Stove. We're presented by the United States Marine Corps. Time now for Leading the League. JP Morosi is back from his travels. We'll talk about that in just a second. But good morning to you, JP. We showed your tweet in our first segment about the 5 teams that have reportedly made offers to Juan Soto. There they are again. Red Sox, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Blue Jays. What jumps out at you? Where do you want to start, JP?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me back on the show here now that I'm back in the States. Yes, first credit to Randy Miller of New Jersey Advanced Media for reporting that Soto has offers in hand now from 5 teams. And it's not just the number of teams, Robert and Harold, that I find interesting. It's the timing of how relatively early we are in the process. Now, we don't believe these are final offers, but at least to know where the initial stakes are is helpful. We're still about a couple weeks away here from the winter meetings, and that gives Juan Soto, Scott Boras, and these teams plenty of time to work through things and potentially sign even before the winter meetings happen. I still think there's a real possibility it occurs in the early days of the meetings, but you can see how sequentially this is all lining up, because when Soto makes his decision, there will be a domino effect about other teams that have made these big investments. Let's say, for example, the Boston Red Sox, who I think are probably well after the Mets and Yankees in the hierarchy of teams with a chance to get him. If they don't get Soto, the Red Sox could very easily pivot and sign a Corbin Burns. Maybe they pursue a Blake Snell, who also both happen to be represented by Scott Boras. So the names of the teams I find interesting. The Dodgers, I want to make this point on them. there's been all this talk about could they add one more superstar? Well, effectively, Ohtani is theirs for free in terms of how much money they're actually paying him, given all the deferments. So they have the capacity to get Soto. I am of the mind that the team that gets Soto will be the most desperate to get Soto. The Dodgers are not a desperate team.
No, that's a very good point. My question, JP, off of this is, okay, the offers are in. How do, if JP, Harold, and Roflo have offers in, how do we know what the other offer is? And I say, I'm out. Okay? Right. When's that process going to happen? Because at some point, you got to be able to say, I'm sorry, but Robert came in 5 years and offered him $500 million.
Yeah.
And I go, well, that's never mind. I'm out.
Right. Well, the irony here, and this is my prediction on the 26th of November, that the teams that are also on there in the market for Anthony Santander or Teoscar Hernandez, they're probably willing to wait a little bit longer on the Soto situation to let it play out. I do think a team like the Blue Jays, if they get the sense that he is going to go to one of the New York teams.
No, I get all that, but I'm wondering, how do you find out? I mean, does Boris say, hey, here's what's on the table? Or does he just does he sit there and play a hide and seek game with you?
Right. No, and I think in a lot of ways, Harold, I would be surprised. And obviously there are the ethics and relationships that prevail in a negotiation such as this, a high stakes negotiation, by the way, where the full industry expectation is that number is going to be over $500 million. What's $500 million among friends, to where there's going to be at least some conversation where, and you have to, as a GM, sense how real your chance is. And again, the reason why I mentioned the Blue Jays is this: if they get the sense that they are not even the favorite or the second favorite, it would behoove the Jays to almost pull out and then strike the deal with Santander before the other runners up do the same thing. And to then, I think that honestly the better poker game is between these teams we're talking about and the agent for Santander and the agent for Teoscar, because those players are not represented by Boris. That's where it gets interesting. With respect to Boris, what makes such a unique offseason is that in terms of the other big dollar guys, I mentioned Burns, I mentioned Snell, they're also represented by Boris. And so he has more information. Scott Boris right now on the 26th of November has more information than probably anybody else in the entire industry about the willingness to spend not just for Soto, but for high-end pitching as well.
So
information.
I want to go off script for 1 second again. We talked about this a lot yesterday, Robert and I. How are we getting to 500? Because I want to know how we got here. Because if Bryce Harper's 360, 350, whatever, Manny Machado's 350, 360, and they're 26 years old. Shohei Ohtani got to 700 because he's a Cy Young pitcher and an MVP hitter, and he's 7. Soto doesn't pitch. And I know he's the same age, but he's doubling Harper and Machado? How do we get here?
Well, Harold, it's a great question, and the answer I'll give you is this. If you consider year over year and the increase of what you're paying for superstar players, and you're right, Shohei, even though it's deferred money, stretched at least the nominal number for what a per year basis could possibly be in the history of the game. If you look at what Aaron Judge got, and then you potentially move up the AAV from Judge's contract and maybe take it a little bit higher for Soto, not because I'm not saying one's a better player than the other, but we're now a few years on in terms of inflation, growth in the industry, etc. Soto is a substantially younger player than Aaron Judge. And so even if you took Judge's contract and then plotted it out over 4 or 5 more years, because Soto is that much younger than Aaron was when he hit free agency, that's how you get above $500 million. Because you look at where Aaron's deal was, and then you plot it forward with the AAV and more years. It has to do, Harold, with the age that Juan Soto is right now. That is why there are so many teams, including the very judicious Los Angeles Dodgers, why they're involved here as well.
JP, let's try to motor through the rest of these topics here. You were obviously overseas covering the Premier 12 baseball tournament, and there was an upset in the final. Chinese Taipei defeating the favorite Japan in the final.
One of the greatest achievements in the athletic history of Taiwan. And you got the sense watching it all unfold just what it meant to the players and also the fans, many of whom had taken that 3-hour flight. Here's the final out. By the way, this is Japan's first loss at the international level in 5 years.
Wow.
It was their first loss in a medal round game since the semifinals of the WBC in 2017. And here was the hotel yesterday. I was just getting ready to leave myself from Japan.
You know you're up there in that line holding the, waving that flag. I see
Waving
you
the
over
Taiwanese flag, watching the bus depart. The tears we saw on the field, on the faces of the players, Harold and Robert, was something I will never, ever forget. Nor will I forget this soundbite with Arizona Diamondbacks pitching prospect Yu-Min Lin, who held mighty Samurai Japan to 0 runs on 1 hit. And here's what Yu-Min Lin told me on the field after the game.
It's pretty amazing. Like, we haven't get anyone world champion before, so it's pretty huge for Taiwan. And I think for every other player too, like they so like can't believe this thing just happened, and we're so happy, so excited. Yeah, I really want to just take my phone now and call the FaceTime, call my teammate, say, bro, we just get it, gold champion, bro. I want to show everything I want to show, yeah. Not just USA, Taiwan can do it too. I mean, I just do everything I'm learning from practice and just show everything my best on the game. And I trust my teammate, I trust my catcher, and I trust my coach too. And I just do my, like a normal, usually normal thing I do, and just do that on game. And just stay 4 innings, no run, 1 hit.
A baseball clubhouse is a beautiful place to learn the English language, first and foremost.
Yeah.
But I love the enthusiasm.
All the
of
words in the English
way,
language.
He's got great command of the language, got great command of baseball English. And by the way, he is going to be in the major leagues in 2025. You can bookmark that. To go into that ballpark, you're facing the #1 ranked team in the world, and you shut them down. He would have already been in the major leagues this year had he not been hit in the face with a foul ball in the dugout in the minor leagues. He's that good of a pitcher.
Wow,
So
that's what
he's
happened.
got the
Wow.
belief, and you could tell the commentary that he just had there, guys. The Taiwanese baseball community, the entire country now has this renewed sense of what is possible. When you go in there and beat Samurai Japan in front of 50,000 fans, it's a landmark.
Hey, what's he feature, JP? What's he throw?
He throws basically 3 or 4 pitches. He has what they call now, Harold, the vertical ride fastball. He's got a fastball that plays up because of the spin rate. We talk about that a lot now in the game. A really good sweeper. He's got a feel for, it's almost like a change split as well. He's a really good pitcher. And you talk about why we love the international game and the way in which you're tested. Yeah, AA tests you, AAA tests you. But 50,000 fans in that ballpark test you in a way that nothing in the minor leagues will ever test you, which is why having your players play winter ball at international tournaments like this is so great for their development overall.
こちらの動画では MLB の最新情報を中心に選手たちの移籍や市場での動向、さらに注目の戦略について詳しく掘り下げてきました。優勢菊池選手のエンゼルスへの移籍はファンにとって非常に興味深い話題であり、今後のエンゼルスの投手陣にどのような影響を与えるのか、大きな期待が寄せられています。また、ウォーカー・ビューラー選手の移籍市場での存在感、そしてトミー・エドマン選手がもたらす多彩な貢献など、どの話題も MLB の進化と未来を象徴するものです。まず、優勢菊池選手がエンゼルスと3年契約を結んだことは、エンゼルスの投手陣強化において重要な一歩です。彼はアストロズでの短い期間で適応能力を見せ、トロント・ブルージェイズ時代には 安定感じある投球を披露しました。彼がエンゼルスでどのような役割を果たすのか、また、レイド・デトマーズやカイル・ヘンドリックスら他の投手陣との連携がどのように進化するのか、とても楽しみです。エンゼルスのファンにとって、菊池選手がこの新たな環境で成功を収める方を見るのは格別でしょう。さらに、日本から MLB に挑戦する選手たちがいかにアメリカで成功を収めているかについても注目が詰まっています。近年では翔平大谷選手、山本由伸選手、そして将来的には佐々木朗希選手など日本の才能ある選手たちが次々と MLB で輝いています。その背景にはアメリカの球団が選手個々の特性を理解し、適切なサポート体制を構築していることが挙げられます。例えば、菊池選手がシアトルでの苦しい時期を乗り越え、トロントでの成功を経て、アストロズでさらに成長したように、適切な環境がいかに選手の能力を引き出すかが証明されています。次に、ウォーカー・ビューラー選手の移籍市場での注目度について、彼はドジャースの一員としてワールドシリーズを制覇し、その後も多くのファンの心を掴んでいます。彼の次なるステップは短期契約での再起か、長期契約で安定を求めるのか、いずれにしても彼の能力を求めるチームは多く存在します。ヤンキース、メッツ、ブレーブス、そしてオリオールズなど多くの強豪チームが彼に興味を示していることは明らかです。彼がどのチームを選ぶにせよ、再び MLB で輝く姿を見るのが楽しみですね。また、トミー・エドマン選手の多彩なプレースタイルも注目されています。彼はドジャースのラインナップに多くの選択肢をもたらすだけでなく、チームの戦術的な幅を広げる重要な存在です。内野も外野も守れる彼の柔軟性は、現代野球において不可欠なスキルであり、ドジャースが彼との契約延長を検討しているのも納得です。このような選手がいることで、チーム全体の指揮や戦略の幅が広がることは間違いありません。最後に、動画で触れた MLB 選手で構成するフットボールチームのアイデアもユニークで面白いですね。翔平大谷選手がデュアルスレッドプレーヤーとして活躍し、アーロン・ジャッジ選手やジャンカルロ・スタントン選手がラインアップを支える姿を想像するだけでもワクワクします。こうした発想はスポーツを超えた楽しさを提供し、ファンの想像力を刺激します。今回の動画を通じて、MLB の最新情報と、それを支える選手たちの努力やストーリーを皆さんと共有できたことを嬉しく思います。野球は単なるスポーツではなく、選手たちの挑戦、成長、そしてチーム全体の結束を描く素晴らしいドラマです。このような話題がファンの皆さんに新たな視点や感動をもたらすことを願っています。もしこの動画を楽しんでいただけましたら、ぜひいいねとチャンネル登録をお願いします。また、コメント欄で今回の話題に対するご意見や、注目している選手、好きなチームについて、ぜひ教えてください。皆さんのコメントが次回の動画作成の大きな励みになります。これからも MLB の最新情報や魅力的なコンテンツをお届けしていきますので、どうぞお楽しみに。次回の動画でまたお会いしましょう。